iOS 18 was just announced, and it wasn't exactly what we were expecting. A lot of people were expecting a complete overhaul of the system like we saw with iOS 7. This year we expected it to take a lot of inspiration from visionOS, with a lot of concepts showing what that could have looked like. Instead, we got a lot of surprising updates that I'm going to show you. I think the easiest way to break this down is updates that you'll actually use, and you'll probably notice right away when installing iOS 18. Things that make your life easier, like these small quality of life things, and then things coming later this fall or later than that. This is the first beta that Apple released to developers. It's not recommended to install this on your primary device. For those that want to beta test, you can by creating a free developer account on Apple's website, but it's probably safer to wait for the public beta for anyone who wants it next month, or the even safer option is to wait until it actually launches this September. That said, I've been using this for the last week and it's been more stable than most betas that I've used, which is pretty amazing to say for the first beta that we're seeing. Some home screen glitches here and there, but nothing else system-wide that would stop me from using this on my regular device. So with that said, first up, the lock screen. It's pretty much the same as last year, with the exception that you can now customize the shortcuts on the lock screen with a new widget gallery. You can open a specific app, use a shortcut, and developers will build in new functionality by the time this actually launches this fall. And if you're concerned about removing the camera here, remember you can always swipe across the home screen to open that up. Then, when you unlock the phone, you get to the home screen, which is probably the largest change this year. You can now move icons and widgets anywhere you want on the screen. Icons can be placed anywhere on the standard grid, but widgets still have select placement within the 3 rows, so I can't place one in between here. You can now customize the look of your home screen more by tapping Edit and then Customize. That brings you to a new tray that you can change your icons from the standard light mode to a new dark mode, which looks great. You can also make icons larger, which removes the titles completely, and you can dim the wallpaper to make the icons pop out more. Now you'll notice that existing apps don't switch to dark mode yet, so you can now tint your icons to make them all the same color for a more customized look, and that'll completely change all of the icons. It doesn't always look great, but I'm sure this will get better with more betas from Apple before the launch. These customizations mean that you can have a completely unique home screen, and it's the first time that Apple has enabled that instead of the standard uniform look where everyone's looks the same. Swiping down from the top, we now get a new look for the control center, which gives you more pages from favorites, music, home, utilities. You also get a new power button at the top here. And you can navigate all of these really easily by dragging in one continuous motion, which is really cool to see. You can completely customize the look and feel of these pages, and you can add another custom page at the bottom. There's a new gallery for all of these controls, which will also include new options from your apps when it launches this September. The controls widget now opens in a list view, which is really easy to understand, and overall this is a really nice feature to have. It seems like they're going for a lot of quality of life customization options that weren't there previously. So this section is all about quality of life updates that you get with iOS 18. You now get the ability to lock apps and require Face ID, or hide it completely, which puts it in a hidden folder, which also requires Face ID to even show what the apps are. Messages is getting some quality of life improvements, including the ability to schedule a message to send by tapping plus, more, send later, and then choose a time. Reactions are also getting redesigned icons, which looks great, and you can react with any emoji now that you want. You also get text formatting, so you can bold specific words or give them emphasis, which is kind of cool. RCS is finally coming to iPhone, which means you'll be able to see when the messages are delivered and send higher quality images like you can with iPhones, but it'll still show a green bubble when sending to an Android. You can also send messages via satellite when you don't have service, which was previously reserved for emergencies, but now it's available for everyone. The Photos app is also getting a redesign, and this is probably my least favorite update. The Photos grid is the top half of your screen, and then you pull down to see more. If you go back to the center, you can swipe across to see featured collections, and you can customize what those look like. Below, you'll get a bunch of sections that you can customize or reorder. I think once you customize this, it'll make more sense to you, but I don't see what was wrong with having tabs at the bottom like the previous design. This one seems much less intuitive to me, even as much as I've used it over the past week. Passwords is now its own standalone app instead of hiding it in settings. This makes a lot more sense for people and will be cross-platform, so you'll be able to use this on Windows as well. I think people are going to use this a lot more than alternatives now that you can have its own standalone app. The phone app now lets you record and transcribe calls for later, but plays a brief message to let them know they're being recorded. The Notes app is getting a bunch of little updates, like the ability to have collapsible sections where you can expand or you can shrink your content. You can also highlight individual words for emphasis. A less highlighted feature here is that you can use expressions and it'll actually do calculations for you in real time, which I'll use a lot and I think is a really cool feature to have. The calendar app is getting a better month view, which shows you more details than it did before, and it also integrates with daily reminders right in the calendar, similar to what Google does. So you don't have to jump between apps, it's all in one place. AirPods will now let you respond by shaking your head yes or no instead of speaking, which will be really helpful for when you're in a public setting and you don't want to have to speak out loud. So that's the primary new updates coming here, but the headline feature here is a new generation of AI that Apple calls Apple Intelligence. This is Apple's way of putting AI into everything on your phone. Siri will now get more helpful, doing more complete actions, and will be able to perform actions within any specific app. If you ask a complex question, it'll now be able to use ChatGPT to provide an answer for you, and that's going to work across the entire system. New writing tools work throughout every single app that allow you to proofread, rewrite, or change the tone from friendly, professional, or concise. You can also summarize anything, give key points, or split into a table or a list. And that's baked into every single text field, so you'll be able to use this anywhere that you want. Apple Intelligence will also be able to prioritize your notifications, so you're only seeing what's important to you first. It'll also provide summaries here instead of the actual message if someone types a long message, which is kind of cool to see. In Mail, it's also going to prioritize, and it's going to sort all of your mail into categories, which is a nice addition. Photos will be able to be edited with AI to remove objects in the background or generally clean them up. Overall, it seems like a massive improvement in every single way, but we won't be able to test this for at least another month, so stay tuned for the full in-depth look at that later on. In terms of supported devices, iOS 18 will support anything from the iPhone XR and later, with Apple Intelligence requiring more on-device processing, so that will only work with the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max or later. This was just my favorite new features, but it's definitely not everything that Apple unveiled. If you want a more in-depth video showing you everything new with iOS 18, let me know in the comments. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.